Hi. So LBC is discussing the case of PC Andrew Harper. This is a well-known case, if you recall. Andrew Harper was a young police officer who was brutally killed last year as he was responding to a call about a stolen vehicle and a teenage gang that was roaming the rural roads of Berkshire. This gang dragged PC Harper for over a mile. He had horrendous injuries. It was an awful case. And notably, they showed no remorse. There was controversy when they were initially charged, or rather, found guilty of manslaughter as opposed to murder, and that's subsequently been reviewed by the Attorney General. But the widow of PC Harper has been pushing for um, new legislation to make tougher penalties for those who murder police officers and other emergency workers. Um, Let me just be clear. I have enormous sympathy for Mrs. Harper. She has went through an awful experience. Bear in mind, PC Harper was her fiance. Um, so I shouldn't say Mrs. Harper. She was actually they were, as I understand, engaged. It was an awful case. So I have enormous sympathy for her. But my gut feeling, my overriding feeling is it is wrong to create a hierarchy of murder victims. Um, I think there should be recognition that the emergency services take exceptional risks and face very real dangers. And we've seen with some some incidents over the last year and beyond, some disgraceful attacks on emergency services, exacerbated by COVID. People coughing in the faces of police officers and stuff. I think there should be harder penalties for those who attack police officers, nurses, ambulance workers, and so on, because they are frontline workers. But I think the murder is murder. So to me, you cannot say that if a violent criminal kills a police officer, then he or she should get a longer sentence than a violent criminal who kills an accountant or a homeless person. Because the accountant or the homeless person, they also could have a grieving family. They could be a young father. Um, I think it is morally wrong to say that one victim's life is worth more than another just because they are in a dangerous profession or a respected profession. Because where do are we going to say that if you kill a politician, you get a longer sentence? I think it's a mistake. I think that each case should be looked at on its own basis. And then there's another question: what about rogue police officers who kill someone? Let's say they have a breakdown and kill their family. It's happened in other countries. It's not inconceivable. So should they get a more lenient sentence because they're a police officer? I don't think so. I think it sends out a message that the life of a police officer is worth more. Um, I think there should be a recognition of the gravity of the crime. So in this case, for example, with PC Harper, because the culprits showed no remorse, I would use that as a big factor in determining their sentence, reviewing their sentence. But as much as I sympathise with his widow, I think it's misguided. I think it's wrong to say that one victim's life is worth more than another. Back in 1953, when the Derek Bentley case was going on, actually, 53, um, the controversy around that was the mentality at the time was if a police officer died, someone had to hang. A police officer died when he intercepted this burglary, but it was actually Derek Bentley's younger, more violent accomplice, who was 16 at the time, who pulled the trigger. But because he was 16, he couldn't be sentenced to death, so it fell on Derek Bentley. Even though there was serious controversy over what was actually meant by his phrase "let him have it," i.e., did he mean let him have it, shoot him, or let him have it, hand over the gun. That was very controversial, and Derek Bentley's family eventually got posthumous. I don't know if it was a full pardon, but the case was reviewed in the early 1990s. And Derek Bentley had a mental age much younger than his 19 years. Um, I'm not suggesting this is the same thing, but that's just an indication of the problem of having a hierarchy of victims. Had that been, had Derek Bentley's accomplice killed someone else, that might have been a different outcome. Bentley might have just been sentenced to a lengthy prison term. I don't know. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I think it's wrong. I don't think that. I think we can have a special respect for the risks that officers take, and I think there should be tougher penalties for people who attack police officers physically, drunk yobs who attack them. But I think murder is murder. I don't think you can say that if a violent criminal shoots someone dead, then the outcome should simply depend on the profession of the victim. I think it's wrong. Let me know your thoughts.